So you move in, and what's the agreement? You have a room, but you also have access to a bathroom, a kitchen, a living room,
yes,
I assume?
TV, supposedly.
Okay.
That is not true. I said it's a common living space. The gentleman obviously, can have access to certain, common living areas like the kitchen, like the dining room, and the living room. And then I said, of course, when I'm home, I'm the landlord. I'm watching TV. My boyfriend's over. Common sense. Obviously, I'm using my space. Right, I didn't say that, he could go and sit next to me, which is exactly what happened. He was sitting in my living room, and his wife passed away. And when I said to him, you're sitting awfully close, meaning like I was sitting on my sofa, my little dog was sitting next to me, and he was sitting literally right next to me. I said, if you sit in my living room with me, I don't have a problem with it as long as you give me some space and some privacy. You know what he said to me? He said to me, you know what? That's okay. I'm used to it. I used to do that with my wife all the time.
No,
and that's when I
that's
felt he was
so not
coming
true.
on to me. And that is so inappropriate.
That's not true at all.
It's so inappropriate.
I mean, that's a leap. You're making a leap, ma'am. All he said was he was comfortable sitting in the living room with you, and you're thinking the man is coming on to you. I'm just saying that seems like a leap to me.
Well,
yeah,
it wasn't really a leap. When you know how desperate this guy is.
Your Honor, I would never hit on you.
Hold on a second.
You're not that hot.
Well, you know what? He's not cute. I actually didn't want to stop
talking. Do you have this spelled out in the lease that people cannot use the living room area when you and your boyfriend are in the living room?
I told him that when I'm not home, and I interviewed him, I said, when I'm not home, you're welcome to use the living room space. But
that's not in the lease.
It is not in the lease, but I made it very clear when I interviewed him, and I also told him that the TV is off limits.
Okay,
right?
so you don't put that in the lease, but you're telling me that when someone moves in...
This is very simple. It is not a common, meaning like a equal roommate situation. I made it very clear. It's a sublease agreement. You're subleasing a room. When you're eating, you can use the dining room. When you're going and having to use the kitchen, you can use the kitchen. When I'm not home, you can go and sit in the living room. And in fact, I actually even wrote him an email saying that, of course...
Is he allowed to use the bathroom, or do you have time restrictions on that as well?
Actually, you know what? He is using a bathroom, but it's his bathroom he shared with the other guy.
Mr. Zajac.
Yes.
Tell me what happened after you moved in. I mean, I have an idea of what happened after you moved in.
Right.
But tell me, how long did you live there?
I lived there maybe for a total of 3.5, almost 4 weeks.
So tell me what happened during that 3.5, 4 week period.
Well, there was a lot of little rules. I only found out about the TV later. She actually offered, when I moved in, to put a cable in my room. And so I thought, why do I need that? Because you have a nice TV. I didn't say this, but it was like, obviously...
So you didn't say it.
No,
Don't interrupt again.
You didn't say anything.
Don't interrupt again.
So, and then we got into little arguments about stupid little stuff.
Okay, so she told you about the TV, and she didn't want you watching the TV when she was home in the living room area.
Right.
Okay, what's next?
2 weeks later, she finally gave me access to the TV. And actually, I was trying to make the relationship work. So I...
Relationship?
Well, not the relationship.
The landlord-roommate relationship.
Right.
Would you stop?
Okay, it's not a roommate.
I mean...
He's confusing roommate and relationship.
So the defendant was out of work. I actually gave her resume to my employer to get a job. And then I realized like 3 weeks, around the 21st, that this is just not working. So I gave 5 weeks notice.
It's not working. I mean, obviously you submitted emails. Right. Tell me other things that happened.
Well, she gave me access to the living room. And then she finally said, when my boyfriend comes over, you need to leave the living room. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like I had access to it all the time.
Tell me about the time she sent you an email about the toilet.
Right, so she believes that the toilet, when you have the lid up, will spread germs around the house. Also, she has a pet, of course, which I understand you don't want the pet drinking from the toilet. So there's times when I would just forget to put both toilet seats down. I was married, so you normally leave, just one toilet seat down for your spouse. But
and so she emailed you about the toilet seat?
Yeah, she wanted both of them down.
Okay.
Yes.
Both of them. You had access to one toilet.
And she also wanted the room cleaned. And she had her maid go in my room, which I thought was an invasion of my personal privacy.
Did she tell you in advance that someone was coming in your room to clean?
It's in the lease.
No.
That doesn't make any sense. You can't
the lease says to keep the place clean. It didn't say there would be anybody else coming into the room.
So how did you find out that someone had been in your room?
The defendant emailed me saying the cleaning person could not clean my room because it was too messy.
Okay, and how did you know that his room was messy?
My cleaning lady, who has been with me for a number of years in different homes, actually called me. She was screaming, and she told me what I knew to be true once I got home. There were 25 boxes. I counted them, stacked up wall to wall, and then there's an air...
In his room?
In his room. And let me tell you something about the condition that he told me he would... He said he will have clothes and an airbed mattress with him. He told me he has a storage space because he gave up his home after his wife passed away. I told him, well, you have a storage space as long as you just bring your clothes.
But, Your Honor,
and since it's only for a few months and your airbed, then that's fine. It's a 10 by 11 room. When I actually go and go into this room after my cleaning lady complained about the situation, I went into this room the first time. This was 21 or 22 days after he moved in. I was shocked. There were boxes stacked all the way to the ceiling. So obviously he suddenly didn't want to use the storage anymore. And on top of that, there was next to his bed, there was a tiny little area, probably the size of this little area, that was filled with dust and dirt. And you know what bothered me about that? And you can probably relate to it as a woman. He was so dirty in his room. Some of the dirt tracked into the hallway in the kitchen. And I got really upset. I was like, what's going on? And I didn't go into his room until my cleaning lady told me on 22 days. And his email, and I have an email from him.
Tell me about the boxes. What was the issue with the boxes?
Well, she claimed it was a fire hazard, and she just wanted the place generally clean.
And what? Tell me about your room. Did you have 25 boxes?
No, Your Honor, I might have had 10.
Okay, so what was the issue with him having boxes in his room? He's living there. He just moved in. He has some stuff in boxes.
Yeah,
so
well,
what?
it's a fire hazard. I have someone in my family who actually.
He's paying you $1,400 for a room. Can the man not have a few boxes?
It's not a storage space. It is not a storage space.
He told me he has a storage space. I told him based on that he can go and come in with clothes and an airbag, not with his entire storage space. And then he wrote me back saying that.
Stop talking. I need you to turn it down.
I should mention you also the story about the ashes, his wife's ashes. Let me tell you something. One of the reasons why the cleaning lady got freaked out is because, and she doesn't speak English that well, but I love her, and she was very upset, and she's a very sweet person. She actually waited until I got home because she wanted to show me something really special. She showed me one of the boxes, and there were ashes coming outside the boxes, and there was an urn in there, and I'm like freaking out, like whose ashes are these? I knew he has a late wife. I was freaked out. I actually said, I can't believe what's going on here. And then he, in his email response, said,
why? Why do you care? Hold on a second. So he has an urn with ashes, and I'm sorry,
he didn't tell me what to do that. That's really creepy.
Why is that any of your business?
Because they were spread over the floor. Why is that your business? They were spread all over the floor.
I don't care.
They were spread all over the floor.
Hold on a second. I don't care if he has his wife's ashes in a vial around his neck. It's not your business.
He mentioned it in the email.
It's in his room, in a box in his room. That's not your business. You guys are obviously poking. You know what?
I wasn't poking at all. I wasn't intended to do it. He actually, I want to tell you that in his email reply, he actually said that nobody should clean his room. He can't live in a home without cleaning a room.
Sir, do you have anything else you want to say? What were the circumstances? What were the circumstances of you moving out?
So, I gave the 5 weeks notice.
That he did not.
No, there's an email proof so that I can document. Yes,
Okay.
you accepted the September 30th move-up date.
What was the last straw for you?
So 2 days later, she accused me of attempting to hack her computer.
Yes.
And then she said that she does not feel safe with me in the home.
Tell me about that, the hacking of the computer.
Well, I was at a play at Long Beach when I received the email from her saying somebody had tried to hack her computer. And I said, I'm sorry, thanks for letting me know. And then the next day, she sent me a longer email accusing me of being the one who had hacked her computer or attempted to hack her computer.
And what was your response to that?
Well, it's a complete and utter lie. I'm a man of integrity, and that would be a really good way to get fired from my job. So,
what do you do for a living?
I'm a software engineer at a high-tech company.
Okay. Why do you think he tried to hack your computer?
Actually, I can tell you exactly what happened. I have a Wi-Fi network at home that I share with my 2 sub-leasees, right? So this really nice guy who's still renting there is a neurosurgery doctor, and he had the same experience that I had, so we're sharing the same experience. He also felt like his space was violated. He and I came home one evening, not just my computer, his computer too. We both got the same message on our respective screens. Now, these are 2 different people on 2 different laptops getting the same message. And then I also work in high-tech. I'm a producer. I went the next day to my work, talked to my IT department, showed them a picture of the message. And I said, what exactly is going on here? And you know what I was told? Call your cable company right away. There is somebody who got into your Wi-Fi network, and there's nobody else. I knew there was nobody else who had the password to that Wi-Fi network other than him and my other sub-leasee. My other sub-leasee,
What was the message? What was the message?
The message was saying that somebody was trying, the attempt was made by another device to access my network.
What proof do you have that it was Mr. Zajac that tried to hack into your computer, if that even happened?
I have another proof, and I'll tell you exactly what happened. I came home, even before I looked at my computer screen, and I overheard him having a conversation in his room. And he had a conversation about an IP address and my cable company. Now, he has no interest in getting cable for himself. And why is he, you know what an IP address? An IP address is a network. And I actually confronted him about that. I said,
hold on a second. She said she overheard you having a conversation about an IP address and a cable network. What was going on?
Okay, so it was not, I didn't mention, I was having a conversation with my friend who does my taxes for the 2013, and I owned a home in Hemet, and I was looking at using the Verizon Files as a tax write-off.
What a strange coincidence.
And so,
so to answer, so after that, I was like, I'm out of here. You know, I don't know what else. I don't know what else you could accuse me of. And then the defendant got really, when I would come home, she got in my face and would follow me to the bathroom and curse me out. And
that is completely wrong.
And
I
then
was incredibly nice to him. Stop.
And then this is why the emotional damages. She actually said that was the reason why my wife died.
I would never say. His ex-girlfriend said that to him. She was right there.
Did you say that? This was a private conversation with you.
I don't know him well enough. I don't care, to be honest.
So he's lying about that?
No,
he lied about that. Because that's the kind of person he is. If you look at my emails.
No, I'll just ask you a question if you said it. You said you didn't say it.
His ex-girlfriend said that clearly.
What? Why would she be?
All right. So you moved out.
Yes.
You paid a $2,800 security deposit at that point. But you already,
7 days notice.
in the email.
I have an email showing the reasons why I moved out because of the breach of contract with the common area and you removing the Wi-Fi access, which is stated as something you should grant in the contract.
So he gave you notice at the end of August that he wanted to move out by September 30th.
Exactly.
Do you remember receiving that email?
Yes,
okay.
I do have that email.
I also went through a few other emails. Just a few things I noticed. You emailed him on August 22nd. close the toilet seat. There are a few things you need to think about, and I'm starting to think you are doing this on purpose. Please cooperate, all caps. Do not reply or talk back.
He was talking back at me. He was very belligerent.
This is not the time for you to interrupt me. I'm just going through some things I've observed and analyzed from the emails. Another email you sent to him, clean up and act like a grown-up. Leaving your room in a mess is a violation of home rules. This is August 22nd. What did you move in?
The 1st.
Okay. There can be no boxes on the floor. This is what you're telling him about his room, that he's paying $1,400 a month to rent.
He's using it as a storage space, Honor.
I need you to stop interrupting me. You're really starting to annoy me. He's paying $1,400 for this room to rent from you, and you write, there can be no boxes on the floor, and what does not fit into the closet can be put on a desk or a shelf. I see a number of these emails, just 3 weeks, of him living in this room.
And he clearly did not pay for September.
And what I'm telling you, ma'am, is the people on Rikers Island have fewer rules to live by than this man had in this house.
You know what's really funny about that? He has no sense of privacy. We're talking about a man who violated
What is your counterclaim about? Emotional damage and lost rent.
Yes, because he did not give me 30-day notice. He did not pay for September. Clearly, he did not pay for September, so he lied to you, Honor. And then secondly, he has not given me 7 days notice. He can also not prove that because he didn't. He was a creepy man who I think has Asperger's syndrome, meaning he has no sense of boundaries and no sense of social skills. And the only reason...
So now you're a doctor. You're a producer, but now you're a doctor too.
I actually am. That is
here's what I think. Here's what I think. I think you're crazy.
That's right.
I think you're crazy.
I counterclaim. If I was crazy, let me ask you something. If I was crazy,
how come the other person is so happy living there with me? That doesn't make any sense, and you know that, and I know that.
Your counterclaim is dismissed, and I'm ordering you to return his full security deposit, $2,800. In fact, I want you to pay me to live with you in that house. You should not have room there. Your counterclaim is dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff, $2,800.
That is not cool because you can't call people that way. That is so unlawful. Step out.
What a wild ride that was. Once again, the crazy Karen landlords strike again. So, as we watch this one, I have a few questions in my mind. How the heck did this guy last this long living there? I think, if you think about it, I would have been out of there so quick. Now, I have a few things that I think to myself. She says that she has another roommate who is completely happy with living there and is just totally on her side with this situation. And he seems to be pretty reasonable and, to be honest with you, seems to be pretty well put together. And I don't think you can really get that far in the tech world as a software engineer if you're just all over the place. So I definitely side with him on this one, but I'm wondering why her other roommate seems to be completely okay with all this. So this is my question. Do you think that she is in relationship, if you know what I'm saying, with the other roommate, and that is why there's a little bit more play here? Because that's kind of my theory on that one. But anyways, as you all know, I want to hear what you think about this, and leave your comments down below of what you think about this, because I want to know, whose side are you on? Are you on his? Are you on hers? And is she a Karen? Let me know.
So you signed a lease and sent him money without ever physically seeing the home?
Yes.
And what do you say to that?
Not true.
You say she saw the home before she signed the lease?
Absolutely.
When?
She saw it at the end of February, beginning of March.
Okay, and then she signed the lease?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of the lease?
Yes, I do.
Did you fax the lease to her in St. Louis?
Actually, one of my associates faxed over a copy of the lease.
Okay, but it was faxed to her in St. Louis. You didn't physically hand her the lease?
I did physically hand her a lease once she came. I had a pre-signed one from St. Louis, and I had one signed once she got here. That's the two, I guess, that she's talking about.
Okay.
Because I let her know prior to her coming that she'll be signing one once she got to my home.
And what's the reason for having her sign 2 leases?
Because the first one, I think it was a draft that my associate did because it was a basic.
Well, are you renting this home or is your associate renting this home?
I'm renting the home, but I have people working for me.
Okay.
And one of my associates printed out one of those basic leases, and I let her know this is just to secure your home for you while you're in transition. She let me know that she needed this lease because she wanted to start sending me some mail. It was the exact same one, but it had the highlights of her pet situation. So
it was a different lease?
Yeah, it was just a little bit different based on the fact that she had pets.
So now we have this lease. You sign it. It does say security deposit of $1,000 here, and it says the lease will start on March 15th. and that the rent is $1,000. So did you sign another lease that stated $1,300?
I did, and he knew that I had dogs.
Okay, so we're going to back up for a second. Because you just told me that the first lease, the second lease, the change on it was the issue with the pets. But you actually changed the amount of security deposit and the rent.
Because in the first lease, it was a basic computer-generated lease.
But the computer just doesn't generate the price of rent or security
No.
deposit.
That section was filled in again, and that was done by
your associate.
Yes, ma'am.
You know you are responsible for what your associates do, right? Because she thinks she's entering into a contract here, and she signs this lease, and it states it's $1,000, and that the security deposit is $1,000, and then the next thing you know, there's a second lease. How many days later?
Actually, it was about a month later, actually.
May I see the second lease?
Yes.
And not only does the rent change, but the security deposit changes. And then why are you shaking your head no?
That's not the case, Your Honor. When
I'm looking at the lease and it says $1,300.
Exactly. That was what the lease was for. The lease was for $1,300, and I let her know we was going to do something temporary for her while she was moving. This is not the lease. She understood that.
What's the point in doing that?
Are we talking about the first lease or the
I'm talking about, you're telling me two different reasons. First, you said it was a mistake, that it was computer generated, that your associate printed this out. Now you're telling me that this was just something you wanted to have in place. Do we swear him in?
Yes,
okay, you swore you would tell the truth today? Okay, I'm gonna need you to start doing that right now.
Coming up on Judge Fake, the court is asked to make sense of a complicated contract.
Did you ever sign this lease?
I signed the $1,300 one.
Okay, and you did too?
No, there's no signature page on there if you see.
Right, that's why I'm asking.
Plaintiff Marty Jones says she was illegally evicted and scammed out of her security deposit. She's suing for a security deposit and rental truck. Defendant Charles Strode says Marty lived for 2 months rent-free in his home. He's countersuing for unpaid rent and late fees.
So we have the second lease. It's $1,300 rent, security deposit. You say she never sent you any money. You say you sent him $2,600, $1,300 for rent, $1,300 for a security deposit.
Yes.
Do you have proof of that? That should be something easy
I have
to prove.
my bank statement and the wire transfer from my account directly to his account.
Okay, sir, and is your testimony before
That's
I view
the
this
bank
that you never
statement.
received this money?
And
sir, I don't hear a verbal answer.
No, I never received this money.
Yeah, that's the wire transfer from my account to his. Yes.
Because one of the things you're suing over is this $2,600 you say you did not receive after you moved in and then left the home. We'll get to those reasons in a second. Let me review this evidence. Did you ever sign this lease? Did you all ever, both of you sign the lease? You never signed the lease?
I signed the $1,300 one.
Okay, and you did too?
No, there's no signature page on there if you see.
Right, that's why I'm asking.
He said that the signature page.
I don't know what happened to the signature page, but it was a signature page.
I'm sorry.
Let me just let you look at this.
He said the signature page would be mailed to my home in St. Louis on a later date, is why he said it was missing. Because I asked, I said, well, where's the signature page? He said, oh, well, I'll mail it to you back to St. Louis. Just initial the top.
She initialed on everything,
Yes,
on
I
every
initialed
page.
it.
I initialed, she initialed.
But there's no signature
and
page.
the signature page was also attached to this lease.
Well, you both agree that that's the lease agreement. So, although I'd like to see the signature page since you both agree that that's it, it's fine. Now let's talk about these wire transfers because I see here on 2 dates in March. When did you take possession of the home, ma'am?
I took possession April 1st.
And when do you say she took possession?
Like March 1st.
March 1st?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you say April 1st, you say March 1st.
Yes, ma'am.
And why is this lease dated March 15th?
Because that was when she came back. They came and they brought a few things. She left and went back to St. Louis, got this guy and other
So you
people.
gave her keys on what date?
Whoa.
The first.
On March 1st, you gave her the keys, and you're sure you're not confusing that with April 1st because this lease states March 15th.
Right. I came back on the 15th, and that was when the dogs was.
Okay, so why is this lease dated after you say she moved in? If she moved in on March 1st, why would she have a lease? Do you agree with me that the lease will be signed prior to her moving in?
Due to the out-of-state circumstances and my circumstances, I was willing to work with her, and she was willing to work with me, and I was trying to explain
Was the lease
that to
signed prior to her moving in the home?
Yes and no.
The first one was.
And I have to explain that. Because as she said, they came up there, they were looking around, they were there for a few days, they came to see my home, she paid the application fee, she ran, once she was approved, that was when she had got, you know what I'm saying, the lease, which was like 3 days later.
What date was that?
That was like the first, because she came in, that was like February when they was down, and then so around the first, you know, that was when she was approved, and that was when she got the lease, and that was when, you know, the first one was done, but they left. You know, they went back to St. Louis to get her things. She wasn't there. So when she came back, she was supposed to bring me all of my money, the first month's rent and the rest of the security deposit, when she came back on the 15th, but that didn't happen. She called me up talking about, at first she said that she had a small dog. It was like a little something that goes in the bag. I don't know what happened to that dog. When I get to the house on the 15th, I was the 15th, come in the same day that she signed the lease. that was when they was trying to stop me. I had a shower head. I was like, well, let me go back here and change the shower head. I forgot to put it on. When I goes to the bathroom, I see 2 ferocious pit bulls up in there. At that point in time, I said, well, you already know what it is. She was having trouble giving me the deposit on the first little dog that never made it. Then, they showed up with 2 pit bulls. I said, no, that's it. You can't be in here. You already know.
You have a completely different story as to what happened.
Yes.
You move with your 3 kids, your fiance, to Atlanta.
Yes.
What happens when you get there?
Okay, we arrived there on April 1st. I have the budget rental truck for March 31st is when I got the truck to come down on April 1st.
Let me see that, please.
Yes, and I wouldn't drive a budget rental truck without my fiance. I wouldn't even travel without him because I have 3 small children, so I had to have somebody else to drive for me. We didn't get there until about 11 at night because I was 6 months pregnant, so my doctor had mentioned that I should stop every 2 hours to, stand up, use the restroom and everything. So we didn't get down there until 11:30 at night.
And what happens when you get there?
When we get there, he wasn't there. So we waited. He pulls up in this big, giant transformer truck with hydraulic lifts and loud bass, and it's midnight. Everybody's trying to sleep. He pulls up in this big, giant truck, basically showing off, I thought.
Part of what she's talking about is partially true, but not true, because I did get there late, but I was just leaving a show. I broke a world record. I built the tallest adjustable F-350 in the world.
The what?
I built the tallest adjustable F-350 in the world. I broke a world record building.
Okay, I understand you wanted me to see the photo. Let me take a look at it. Okay, that's the truck.
Yes.
That you were driving. All right. And you broke a record.
Yes.
Duly noted.
Right.
All right. What do you want to say, sir?
We had a situation to where we wanted to get out of the house where we were in now before the 1st of the month to avoid paying additional fees.
Excuse me, Your Honor. I don't
that
even
part
know.
I understand.
I'm sorry.
I have not asked you a question.
I'm sorry, but this guy's talking.
No, you're going to be really sorry in a second if I have to dismiss your case.
We had an agreement with our current landlord to let us out of our lease early so we wouldn't have to pay. But,
so you could get your things out, move it down to the house, and then come back. That I understand. All right. How does it end up that you're only there for 3 days?
Okay. When we left on the 4th, I think we put a bunch of our things in the garage. We had some things in the house. I started receiving calls from his associate saying that he wanted more money. I told her it wasn't in the original contract, that I wasn't going to do that, and even if so, I couldn't afford to do that. So he then sent me a message saying I had 72 hours to get my things out of the house because there was a breach of contract because I had dogs he didn't know about. I have pictures of my dogs in the house. He knew that I had dogs.
I want to see all the text messages you have. I want to see all of them.
Okay, and for the record, Your Honor, I'm not the 914 number is not my only number, and that's not the only phone that I have. And other people that work for me send messages
that's not
to
true.
my
There's
contacts.
a different
So
number
this may or may not be
right. So
from
that's the reason why.
Because this phone, your associates have access to this phone.
Well,
as
his associate has a different number. Her text messages are on there as well.
So your associate sends out this lease with the wrong information. Your associate has your phone and is sending out text messages that you may or may not be aware of.
Yes, right.
Got it.
On the 7th is when he said you have 72 hours to get your things. I then located the DeKalb County authorities and asked them, was this legal? They said no. They then contacted him. So when they contacted him, I guess it made him really mad. So that's when he sent the additional text and said, well, now you have 24 hours. I was trying to help. Is
Did
what
you do
he
that?
sent.
Or one of your associates?
I don't even know what she's talking about, Your Honor.
Well, it's
she's
on the
talking
text
about 24
messages.
hours, 72 hours. I don't know nothing about that. All I know is when I got there and I saw that they had them big dogs off in my bathroom, and I had them, I got pretty Bella Wolf floors. I spared no expense
The
in
ferocious
this house.
dogs didn't attack him
Let me see
coming
the
into the
dogs,
bathroom.
please.
One's laid out, stretched. They're small.
There's a brown one over to
A
the
brown
right.
one over to the
and
right.
then
Well, the issue
pictures
is, did you have written permission to have those 2 dogs there?
There wasn't written permission.
Okay, that's what the lease requires.
Right, but that was after I had given him the money and after I given him the keys.
Okay, but you knew that he didn't want the 2 dogs there when you moved in.
No.
You did not know that.
No.
You're saying
He
you
said-
didn't find out until
you know
after
what?
the
I
fact.
asked
Your
him,
Honor,
I asked him
He knew that we had dogs.
because he had a
That's
dog
true.
in the
That's not
house.
true, Your Honor. She
He had
called
a
me
dog
with
and
a
he said it was
small
okay.
dog.
So here's
That's
what I'm
not
going
true.
to do. Do you have your bank statement from the month of March that will show you did not receive a wire transfer into your account?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
It was.
And then I'd like to see your phone, actually.
Okay.
Excuse me.
There's a text message.
There's a text
I think
message
it's
on
more
my
than fair
phone.
for me to at least be
I
able
know
to.
he put a lot of effort into this
'Cause this
story.
is-
I want to see your phone. I don't want either one of you to say anything right now.
Oh.
This is the clincher for me. You say you have this associate. The associate tells them they signed a lease. It's not our fault. You did not get here until April 1st, 2014. You told me
That was when they
repeatedly,
moved
I
that
need you to
thing.
stop
That was-
talking because right now, from where I stand, every time your lips are moving, you're not telling me the truth. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to recognize the first lease that you say this associate sent in error. And I'm not going to recognize the second lease that you had them to purportedly sign when they get to Atlanta, because you don't get to pull a bait and switch on people when they're signing a lease for property. You told them the rent was going to be one thing. You told them the security deposit was going to be one thing. There was nothing about pets in the first lease. That's what they signed. I know you testified that was just a pre-lease, but I'm telling you, I don't find that to be credible. That first lease agreement I find to be binding, and they agreed to pay $1,000. They paid you $2,600. I credit her testimony and that she has proof of that. I'm going to prorate the amount that you're going to refund them based on the 3 weeks that they actually had possession of the home, based on when the lease started, which was March 15th. I'm going to subtract $750 for those 3 weeks from the $1,000. That leaves $1,850 that they overpaid you that you're going to have to refund them. In addition, I am going to order you to refund them for the truck rentals, the 2 truck rentals. That's $904.10. And because I think your behavior was so egregious, and you came into court and committed perjury and said you only received $500 when they proved to my satisfaction that they sent you $2,600, I'm going to order you to pay punitive damages in this case in the amount of $500. My total judgment in this case is for the plaintiffs in the amount of $3,254. Pay them the money.
I absolutely think that this guy was scamming everyone and anyone, and he's lying through his teeth in this courtroom, which is pretty interesting. Now, the fact that he was doing this whole perjury thing, like, I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure when you get sworn in and you do the whole perjury thing, you are going to jail. That's like a really egregious thing to do in court. Now, when he comes into this courtroom with his 1988 attire, where he needed to potentially use the money that he scammed people out of to stop going to a thrift store and actually go buy some clothes from the modern day, something is telling me here that he is doing this very often to a lot of people. Now, how is it that he is even able to get a piece of property to do this type of scam operation? You know, you got me on that one. I have no clue how this guy was able to do it. Now, when it comes to Judge Faith in this situation, she manages to find a way to always allow the liar to say the lies and to keep lying without losing control of the courtroom. It may appear that she's losing control, but she has such an interesting way of letting the person talk and let them, you know, show their true colors, if you will. And this guy's true colors, well, it's plaid and flannel with a little bit of jean, potentially some denim, and some bedazzled necklaces that he probably got out of the treasure box at the dentist. Now, I would love to know what you guys think about this. This case was definitely very interesting, and I think that he is absolutely running a scam operation. And to be honest with you, he's probably going to do another scam just to pay out this one, and he's just looking for people who aren't willing to go take him to court. So let me know what you guys think about this. I would love to know your thoughts and feelings on this, and put those comments down below, and I will try my best to respond to them.
Mr. Richards came with a realtor to see the apartment.
And this is in Queens?
This is in Queens, New York. I have a 3-family house. I live on the first floor. The second floor has 2 apartments. He came, he looked at the apartment. He said he loved it. He wanted to rent it. He wanted to switch out the carpet in the living room and the bedroom and put in ceramic tile if I gave him one month free and $50 discount every month. I agreed to that. The day that we signed the lease, which was 2 days later.
Is that in the lease? Is that arrangement in the lease?
It's not in the lease, but I have a signed paper from the realtor that he was witness to it, and that's the way it went down.
So when he moved out after a year, was there ceramic tile on the floor or carpet?
No, there was no ceramic tile. There was the same carpet.
So the carpet was never removed?
The carpet was never removed.
And the agreement was that you would deduct how much, $50 a month?
$50 a month, and I would give him the month of May to do the work.
Okay, so that's the first issue. Tell me what else happened.
The day that he came to sign the lease, he dropped a bombshell on me saying that he had a dog. After consideration, I said to him, if you pay a half a month security for the pet, and since you are putting down ceramic tile, I would allow it.
Okay, how much security deposit did he pay you?
$650.
And how much for the dog?
For the dog.
Okay, and the security deposit for the dog, was that non-refundable?
It was refundable if there was no damage.
Okay, so $1,300 and $650. May I see the lease?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sir. When you moved in, did you agree to remove the carpet and put tile down? So you never came to that agreement?
No, I never came to that agreement. Why do
I find that hard to believe?
Why would
she
find it hard to believe? Why would I take off $50 for a year. That's $600. Why would we furnish a whole apartment that will cost me over $4,000 to take off $50?
So she's making the part up about the carpet ceramic tile.
The
You
carpet,
never
what I
had that
told her,
conversation.
this is what I told her with the carpet, because at my old apartment I had boxes of tiles. I told her I have boxes of tiles. I'm gonna see if I find some workers, and I might. Do you have a problem if I replace the carpet with the tiles? That's
Okay,
what I
so
told
there
her.
was a conversation about
it, but I didn't have the agreement to do it.
So you're telling me that there was no agreement, and how much were you paying in rent, sir? How much were you paying in rent?
My rent is $1,300.
You move in, and what are the issues you have, ma'am, with Mr. Richards at your home?
He told me that he was a party promoter. He's not, okay? Constantly, night after night, there were scantily dressed women coming in at all hours of the night.
Sounds like a party promoter to me.
Drunk and disorderly and waking us up at all hours.
He told you he was a party promoter. What do you think they do? They get a bunch of girls and they take them to the clubs to party. His house is where the after party is. So what do you think he lied to you about when he said he was a party promoter? Then you see people partying. Did she have a conversation with you about the noise?
No noise.
Okay.
See, that's her conversation is, anybody enter this apartment, you bring people here to sleep, you got to pay more rent. That was her conversation.
Did you want to supervise who we brought home to the apartment?
She would tell my cousin, he stayed here for 2 days. She said, he's here for 2 days, you got to pay me extra rent. Because he's taking a shower, you got to pay extra water.
Yes.
Did she tell you that?
That's
Step
true.
up, sir. Did you have a conversation with her about that?
Yes. One early morning, I went to move my car at 8 o'clock in the morning, and he gave me the keys to go outside. So she storms out, follows me, and starts screaming in the middle of the street. I don't even know this lady.
Like, why criminals in my apartment? You have criminal cousins in my apartment?
Yeah, I don't want nobody.
Something's telling me that there's something else as to why she's referring to these people as criminals. I don't quite understand. Just because you have a friend over doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be criminals. So I don't quite get what her thought process here, unless she is a...
With my key, you're gonna have to pay extra water and heat to stay there. I said, I'm visiting from Florida. You know, this is my cousin's apartment. I can stay there if I want. And she was like, no, give me extra water and extra heat. And I don't want nobody with my keys. So I just went upstairs and I told him that.
The crazy part is about it.
Like, is that true? Did you tell him that?
Yes, I told him he does not live here. He's not on the lease.
So wait a minute.
He's not supposed to have the keys.
Does the lease state he cannot give the keys to anyone else? He has to be the sole occupier of the keys. Of course it doesn't state that. That's not what people agree to when they move into apartments.
Yes.
And that's just the beginning. Second of all, I will have a girl in my apartment. Like, if I have someone stay over by me, I have to go to work. So I leave at night, I will leave the girl upstairs. She went upstairs, knocked my door, said, is Tristan home? The girl said, no, he's not home. She took the key from her and kicked her out of the house.
Kicked out the house. Yep.
Listen, issues on both sides here. Okay, clearly there's an agreement that you would change the carpet and put in tile. Clearly you're micromanaging. But let's talk about the video you submitted. Thank you. You can have a seat now.
It shows about the drunken women coming in and out of the house. It shows Mr. Richards, Tristan, in his towel, wandering in and out throughout the public area with the towel.
Let me see the video.
Throughout the public area with my towel.
This is two drunken women, as you can see, they're falling, being brought in by him and some other person. This is on Christmas morning, by the way. This is him in a towel, constantly. This is his witness using the keys.
To move his car.
This is him going out, coming back in from the porch with a towel on. This is him with a stripper moving her in.
That's a stripper. That's my friend came to
Guys.
Oh, that's a stripper. You know that's a stripper?
Mr. Richards.
This is constant. This was...
I just don't understand how she has how is that legal that she has access to video cameras into the place where they are staying? If these are her tenants, if I was renting out a place, I would not want my landlord to have cameras spread throughout the house to watch what I do and how I live in my life in the house. That's just me. So I feel like that is going to be something that, like, she thinks this is evidence for her. If it was me and I was the judge, I would say this is evidence against her.
Constant.
That's me coming off from the airport picking up one of my friends that came to my house. How that's a stripper?
Miss Polino says she's wearing a tight dress. She has to be a stripper. That's it.
How she had to be a stripper? That's crazy. Did she tell you she threatened me?
How did she threaten you, sir?
The day I returned for my keys, I told her, can you give me my keys? Because I called you, told you, that's the day she kicked the girl out of the apartment. I said, can I get my keys? I have it on recording. Can I get my keys? She was like, no, you got to get out of my apartment, pack your things, leave. I said, I have 3 months left in my lease. I need my keys. She was like, no, call the police. I'm like, I don't want to waste time calling the police to go back and forth with you in court. All I need is my keys. She was like, you know what? You call the police, I'm going to tell the police you threatened to kill me. Me as a white lady and you as a black man, who would they believe? That's exactly her words. I have it on recording. It's right there.
You have that on the recording?
Yep, you can see the recording right there.
Let me look at the recording.
You bring strippers here!
Who brings strippers here?
You, like that, okay!
I'm telling you,
You know what? You can speak to your hookers, your whores, anytime you want. but I am older than your mother. You speak to me with respect to me. I don't want those criminals in my house. I don't want you leaving nobody in my house when you go to work. You left your husband who's a criminal.
She said, yeah, criminal.
She went to my window and started through my window. I have him on tape.
I have the part stating that she says that I'm gonna tell the police. If you call the police, I'm gonna tell the police.
I wanna hear that.
You threatened to kill me.
Pull that up.
She was like, you call the police.
Well, let me ask you, before he pulls it up, did you tell him that if he called the police, you were going to tell the police that he threatened to kill you, and because you're white and he's black, they would arrest him?
I never said anything about white or black.
Right,
okay, but you told him that if he called the police, you would tell the police that he threatened to kill you?
I may have done that in the heat of the moment, yes, Your Honor.
But he did not threaten to kill you, right?
He didn't, but his cousin did.
Oh, how you
His
did?
cousin?
Not this gentleman here, his other cousin.
Okay, but that's not him. You said if he called the police, you would tell the police that he threatened to kill you, but that's not accurate, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. I can listen to this, but she just made that admission in court. So it was not a good fit.
Not at all.
The two of you living in the same household, it was not a good fit, right? You're a party promoter.
The guy before, you could even ask her hubby over there. He told me the guy before had the same problem with her. That she, AKA, claimed that the maintenance guy, AKA maintenance guy, he maintenance something else.
Okay. Did you tell him that the guy before they lived there had the same issue with her?
Problem. She and I run a company called Books for Beats, www.booksforbeats.com. We educate inner city children. She has done more for the black community than this black dude ever has or ever will. Now, I try to talk to this young man several times. As you see today, it's a very hard time to go with him. I told him that the tenants before him thought that they could not be evicted, although they were violating the rules of the lease. Mm-hmm. Please, brother, find yourself a way to get back within the rules of the lease. That's the only conversation I ever had with this young man, point blank, period, end of story. So all that other stuff, which I kind of knew he was going to come in here and try to do that, just goes to show you the character that we're talking about here. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't talking about no comic strip one either. So, you know, that's what we're dealing with.
Now, sir, did you have an opportunity after the defendant moved out to inspect the apartment that he lived in?
Yes.
And did you see damages in that apartment?
Yes.
What did you see?
I saw that the carpet had been damaged.
How?
It seemed like there was a lot of urine stains all over the floor from the dog. Mm-hmm. The bathroom, part of the sink actually was dislodged from the wall. We also talking paint on cabinets. The walls weren't properly done because he tried to put caulking inside the wall. Mm-hmm. And any, I don't want to say real man, no disrespect, but any man that knows what he's doing with tools would actually know that you don't put caulk inside of a drywall. Mm-hmm. So at that point, when I went back in, I saw caulking in the drywall in two separate rooms, holes left over the place. And he had this big vibrating massage chair, which as a single guy, I didn't understand what he needed to be massaged for. Like, it was like a big, chair. Yeah, it was, you know, it was a massage chair? Yeah, it was a massage chair. He had this big, he left this big massage chair that had to be removed from the facility as well. So
he left it there?
Garbage. No, just after he left.
Okay, he left those things behind.
He left those things behind that had to be removed. So I recommended to Ms. Paulino, because that's above my level of contracting, because I don't do that type of stuff, that she go get contractors, and that's what she did. She went and got contractors who did the job professionally, because I don't do that level of work based on the damage that was there.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your testimony, Mr. Jordan. Let me see proof that you paid over $2,000 in damages. And you kept his security deposit, which was $1,300, and the pet deposit, which was $650?
Yes.
Did you subtract that from the $2,000?
I haven't subtracted anything yet.
Okay, so you kept that and you're suing for the full amount of damages? When you keep a security deposit, that goes towards damages.
Yes, I understand, Your Honor, but he also kept the keys until the 20th of June.
I haven't gotten to that yet. I'm just asking you. You're suing for all these things, but you didn't deduct the money you kept for the security deposit, which is almost $2,000. So Ridgewood Contracting gave you this?
Yes. That was this one estimate? Of three.
Did you pay this? It says paid in full.
Yes.
So you paid $2,050 to have this repaired?
Yes.
Ridgewood Contracting did this?
Yes.
And they created this document and gave it to you?
Yes. That was the estimate. That was one of three estimates.
How did you pay them?
Cash.
You paid them in cash?
Yes.
Did you get a receipt?
That was it. That was the receipt.
This is the receipt. So this is from them?
Yes.
Okay. They don't know how to spell their own company name? It's misspelled?
What are you talking about?
Ridgewood. Wood is spelled W-W-O-D. Now, this is a real receipt for the carpet. Okay. Why were you late turning in the keys, sir?
She told me within 3 weeks on the 20th, come back for your security deposit and it will be returned to you. I hold the keys because I told her, okay, you have a spare key, you're the landlord.
Okay, you don't get to do that. You don't get to hold the key. When you move out and you return the key. She has 3 weeks by law. It's not this, you give the keys, you get the security deposit, because she has to have the opportunity to inspect the premises. So for every day you kept the key until the 22nd, guess what? You have ownership of that apartment. You left stuff behind. She had to clean that out. That's damages. Here's what we're going to do. The defendant gave a $1,950 total security deposit for himself and the dog, $1,950. I find that he owes $922, the holdover amount in rent that he owes for keeping your keys beyond, for 22 days beyond the date
20th.
that he was supposed to move out. That's $922. I also find that the receipt for carpet repairs, I find that to be a legitimate receipt in the amount of $725. $922, $750 for the carpet. I'm not ordering $1,950 for failure to replace the ceramic, the carpet with ceramic tile, because you don't have sufficient proof that that was an agreement that was in place. There was certainly a discussion about it, but I don't know what the exact agreement was, and I'm not going to try to figure it out. If you want to have that kind of agreement where you give someone a discount on the rent, it must be included in the lease. In addition, I'm going to order the defendant to pay $500 in additional cleanup and related fees based on Mr. Darden's testimony, who I find to be the most truthful person out of everyone in court here today. So that is a total judgment in the plaintiff's favor, $2,142. However, you kept a $1,950 security deposit. So that's a total judgment in your favor, $192. Your counterclaim for your security deposit is dismissed. Your counterclaim for harassment is dismissed. Judgment in the plaintiff's favor in this case in the amount of $192.
I don't think I'm going to be renting to very young people.
Check the background. Check the background, because like as her hubby or whoever says, the recent tenants before me went through the same problem. So
All right, well, so this case was definitely very interesting and spicy, but there were definitely some layers of issues here, some social issues that were being brought up. But at the same time, her husband didn't match the profile of what we all assumed was going on here in the beginning. So I want someone to explain that to me. The other thing is that it's laughable that by the end of this whole thing, she ends up only getting $192. That is unbelievable, and I'm pretty sure she's pretty upset about that. Now, the one thing that is interesting that I find by the end of this whole thing is I do think that he is truthful in the sense that she is probably an unbearable landlord, and that she probably wants to control the situation and has some, potentially racist tendencies, and that's not good. And she shouldn't be a landlord if that's the case. Now, what I don't understand, the biggest issue I have here, and I want someone to please explain this to me if this is legal or not, is are you allowed to have security cameras in your property as a landlord that can spy on your tenants? Because to me, that sounds a little not okay, and it's not quite something I think I would want in a house that I was living in, because that's an invasion of privacy if you ask me. So anyways, y'all, I want to know, do you agree with this judgment? I think it was definitely, potentially both sides have good arguments. Are you on her side or are you on his side? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below.